I spend my life researching and teaching people how to live a powerful life. I am a believer. I stand for the transformation of humanity. I have found my purpose. My name is Gabrielle McGee, and I am the Rebellious Therapist. So welcome to my Rebellious Therapist podcast, Season 2, Episode 4. So hi, Ciara. Thank you for joining me again on How To series that we've created for ourselves to really give value into the world of letting people have something to walk away from this podcast and really apply it. And the subject today is all about money. And money is one of the hot topics, something that we really want more of. And it's a very interesting topic when I work with my clients, that how confused or how difficult our relationship is in the emotional attachment we have to money. So we're going to explore that today, all the different sort of belief systems around money. And of course, because we're from Ireland, we're going to be looking at traditionally what we've inherited from our background, our social sort of conversation about money, or our inherited belief around money, and or also our family patterns around money that dictates, how we have a relationship with money going forward. And the success is actually given by our thoughts, feelings, and attitude towards it. So welcome, Ciara.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, thank you.
A topic that's interesting because I've done the money seminar with you before, and it brought up a lot of stuff. And it really is a life's work, your approach to money. Just to give you another thing to have to deal with. Am I there yet? Absolutely not. No. Will I ever be there? Who knows? Yeah. But if I want to improve a certain aspect of my life, which money is up there, like this year, my goal for the year is financial independence. Yeah. And so I'm looking forward to learning and working out a few things with you on this subject.
It's really interesting, it takes me back to an organization I was working with for about 5 years. And it's all about transition and transformational seminars. They're worldwide. And one of the things they teach the people that work in their organization is to really give up their attachment to money and have more freedom around the money they have. And it was really interesting to watch, how people would talk about they had less, some of them would have less money than they had a few years before that, but had more freedom. But that money that they did have occurred like they had a lot more. So you can imagine how complex and how confused the whole conversation is. And it's really interesting, watching, let's declare money is a piece of paper. Mm-hmm. And our projection onto that is phenomenal. Like we hold it onto it. We have a relationship with it as if our life depends on it.
Yeah.
Now we do need money because that's what, that's just how the world's set up. It makes the world go round. But then it's like really interesting how confused and how sort of how we get lost in our relationship with it and then get confused. And then it looks like we're always trying to follow that moment to find money, to look for money. We go out every day. It's one of the biggest relationships we have in our lifetime. Because every day we get up, we go earn money. Every year we try to have more money. We try to provide for our families. We try to secure our life. So you can see how dominant that whole world of making money occurs to us in our lifetime. Do we have freedom around it? Absolutely not. But I think what we want to talk about today is the different sort of approaches people have towards money And then, how do you have freedom around when you have money, when you don't have money? Because I think the attachment to it all is also another issue, that people get locked into that attachment to having it or not having it. And then there's no freedom or there's no flow there for you to, money comes and goes.
Yeah.
It's a flow. Money's just an energy flow, an energy exchange. But, you'll find most of the time people either are clinging to it or so attached. The attachment is really tight and trying to not let it go. Or other people can't find it. Those people start going to work every day, locked into getting, their self-worth inside of the money conversation. So it's like, what's your values, what's your thoughts, what's your feelings, how do you feel about yourself is a big indication of how much money you've got.
Yeah, I think for sure it's great to acknowledge that even just this conversation is going to bring so much awareness and kind of thought-provoking notions to people, because it's so unconscious money. Like it's so deep-rooted in that it's something we just do. We have, we make, we use, we spend. But like anything else, it's a relationship with it.
Totally.
And an attachment to it, just like anything, just like a person, just like a place, just like a thing, just like money's just another conversation that we need to bring into our conscious awareness. And then with bringing it into our conscious awareness, you can learn so much about yourself and maybe shift and change a couple of things you're not happy with.
And it's interesting when the key thing there is money is a conversation. Money is a conversation. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And then it's how we, what conversation are we in with ourselves, number one, and with the world, number two, with the universe. What's that conversation we have around money? Now, I see people have conversations about money from scarcity. And then I hear people doing a lot of manifesting around money from scarcity. So it's trying to fix and manipulate and control to have money doesn't work.
Yeah. So let's kind of, because I know what the way this podcast is going to go is like our thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
Connected to the relationship with money. So let's kind of like just shoot out some words.
Yeah.
That maybe emotions or that we would have towards money. So I'll just say a few and then you can add on to it. Cool. So fear, anxiety, like not enough or too much.
You mean there's not enough money or too much money?
Yeah. So what kind of would that be? Like what kind of emotion would that be?
So that's a mixed emotion, right? So first of all, the fear around money, fear of not having money, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what's coming from the scarcity conversation. There's not enough in the world. There's not enough money in the world. Yeah. There's, you're not enough. That's really what's driving that. If you think you're not enough, then how are you going to go out and earn the money? Or some people will have the opposite of that, right? Where they go out and earn loads of money because they're not enough to try and compensate.
Yeah, because I was just going to say, what about the emotion of love? People love money.
Yeah.
So what's driving that then?
Well, I don't know if they love money or they're loving having the money so they don't have to feel insecurity. No, there's no. I think it's really important to love money and respect money. It's not a dirty thing, but one of the things we really, as a culture in Ireland, we have a really strange relationship with the conversation of money, but also how we are approached to money. I hear people saying they do the lottery. This is how confused it is. They do the lottery, but they also say, "Oh, I wouldn't like to want too much money because," and I'm like, "What's the because? What is the because? I'm dying to hear it, right?" But then every week they'll go and do the lottery. So you can see And also there's a thing in the communities here in Ireland where money's shameful.
Yeah.
It's shameful to have money, but not so shameful not to have money. That's nearly more acceptable.
Yeah.
It's a given. It's what we know. It's familiar. It's what's acceptable. Oh, we're all suffering together. Oh, we're all united in who we are and hard times and all of that.
Yeah, I grew up around that conversation. They're loaded. This
they're loaded.
Rich.
Exactly.
This person's rich, so they have money.
Yeah, they're lucky. They're lucky. They have money.
They're lucky. Yeah, they have money. They don't have to worry. Yeah.
It's okay for them. They can't afford it.
Yeah.
So it's all that sort of victimizing sort of stuff that unconsciously, I talk a lot about, we're not that far away from the famine and the scarcity and the starving. We have never completed that as a nation for ourselves.
Yeah.
So all that scarcity and hard driven by and hard done by does be driven from them times, from a collective consciousness. So we just keep on inheriting the conversation. It was really interesting. I spoke to Tommy here, who's producing my podcast, and he was talking about his grandfather or your father, grandfather, and his conversation about money. And I'm going to Tommy about but he's teaching your kids, and that's like nearly there's 3 generations, right? But the kids are, they're not hearing it, but it's in it's in the conversation. So you can see how we inherited our relationship, number one. And, there was time for people had scarcity, had no work. And then we've got this nation where we all had to immigrate to eat, to survive. So you can see how the conversation in Ireland needs to really change with the new generations and the awareness and the education. And hopefully, as we go forward, that we will become a nation where we are free to have some more freedom around this conversation.
So what would a secure outlook on money be? Or what does a person look like that has a great relationship with money? Is it a figure in the bank account? Is it a mindset? Is it a way of life? Is it a lifestyle?
I think it's choice. What I mean by that is what my relationship with the relationship I want with money and the relationship you want with money will be completely the opposite. But if I'm choosing that relationship powerfully, sometimes for some people, money is not what drives them. For some people, it is. But if that's not from a place where they're coming from scarcity or fear or insecurity or, feeling that's going to empower them or give them power, if it's by choice, that choice is made, then to me, that's a very healthy relationship with money.
So it's like money is just is. Oh yeah, they don't think about it, or they do think about it, or
yeah, you can think about money all you want. It's it's actually the emotion it's coming from. It's who you're being around money is more important to look at rather than the conversation itself. What I mean by that is if I'm coming from a really fearful place and trying to, get money and to get security, then I have no freedom. It's not something then that I have freedom around or have access to. It's like there's a lid on at that point of what you can earn or what you can go out and do or what, because you're so locked into, I know, I've had conversations with millionaires saying to me, look, I could have had a lot more money, but I was scared. Once I reached, that 25 million point, I could have probably had a 3 or 4 times more than that. But that was his lid. That was the lid he put on. Where if some people had 25 million, they would feel like billionaires.
Yeah.
So you can see it's the relationship you're in rather than the amount. Does that make sense?
So if I was a secure person now talking to you about money, what would I be saying? to you as a secure person?
So what would you be saying to me?
Yeah.
Now, do you understand?
Like I want to understand the mindset of a secure, like,
yeah, but
person.
it's not a one dimension, right?
Okay.
No, it's not black and white. It's not just like, yeah, you know, A, B, C, D equals a secure person with money. So you can be a secure person with money if you've got £1,000 in the bank.
Yeah.
The guy who had 25 million wasn't a secure person.
Do
you understand?
Yeah, so I guess what I'm striving for is like this term financial independence, which I learned about in the Psychology of Money book. And it's a mindset or a way of living that I can do whatever I want, whenever I want.
Yeah.
So I can wake up today and I don't have to think about the number in my bank account in relation to anything that I can do today. And a good example he gave was, you know, this person who had financial independence was a psychologist or say, for example, a doctor for 30 years. And then he woke up one day and he wanted to change his career.
Yeah.
Because he had reached the end of his career as a doctor and he wanted to become a writer.
Yeah.
And on that day, he had the independence to be able to, the financial independence to be able to do that, to just change one morning. He didn't have to think about his family. He didn't have to think about a mortgage. He was just had an financial security to stop one job and start another. Yeah, and that's what financial independence looks like to him.
Yeah, but that's a different conversation. Financial independence is different to your relationship with money. Even though it doesn't sound like it. So the doctor had enough money, right? For his independence.
Yeah.
That wasn't about the number.
Yeah.
It was the decision he had made. Yeah, he had enough money to back it up.
Yeah.
Right? But we're still going back to one thing, your relationship with that, your conversation about that.
Yeah.
Right? He might have been the year before, had the same amount of money, but didn't have the relationship where he felt independent to stop and do something different. Do you get that?
Not really. because the question was, what does a financially secure person like say? And that's how I want, like, that's what I'm striving for, is that kind of independence where I don't have to worry about how much is in my bank account every day. And that was just an example of how you don't have to worry.
But I'm also putting that question back to you. What does your financially independent number look like?
Yeah, that's personal to me. Yeah.
That's a personal thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's not a black and white process.
Yeah.
It's a very, very individually driven by what that person thinks the financial independence looks like.
Yeah.
You could have 20,000 in your bank and feel you got personal independence around your finances, where someone else think, I've only got £20,000, I can't even breathe.
Yeah.
So it's never about what the number is. And look, at some level it is, obviously. You need a certain number to have that independence, but it depends on your lifestyle.
Yeah.
So if you're someone like you're living now in the Hamptons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is one of the most, exclusive part of America. So the value living in the Hamptons of financial independence will be different to someone who's living in a small town in America.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Is the relationship with it.
So then mindset. What would the relationship be?
So the mindset would be, there's a level of wealth in the sort of community of the Hamptons that's been created, right? So the people with that type of mentality will be, there'll be inherited money, it'll be business, it'll be, the rock stars, the movie makers, whatever it looks like, right? That's a different conversation if you go down to small town America, where they probably have 1/3 but feel rich.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still going back to one thing here. We're still going back to your relationship, but also your environment definitely dictates, right? So if I'm living in Donegal, you're living in the Hamptons, the cost for me in Donegal to live, I'm going to have, I'm quicker to have financial independence because it would cost less. If we had both the same jobs, example, we both earn the same money. But the value of my money is going to change purely from where I'm living to where you're living.
Yeah.
So it's circumstances, relationship, and emotional connection with it. And a lot of people are like you. They want the answer. People are looking for the answers, right?
Well, it's not the answer. It's kind of like something to like work towards. Because I know like my mindset right now is scarcity.
Yes.
Like there's never enough.
Yeah.
So how, like, is it abundance I strive for?
No, it's your personal relationship. Like it's your own belief system. The money comes once you shift your belief system and your conversation about it.
So
the first question I would ask, why do you think there's no money? Why do you think, where did you learn that process? Where did you learn that belief system?
Yeah, I learned it in my childhood, which I've done quite a bit of work
on. Community. So it's
and
really
community, where I came from, all that kind of stuff. So it's just, so now it's reprogramming that. But I still think I'm a little bit tied into the scarcity mindset with not knowing how to move forward.
But you won't see, because it's so locked into that. Your mindset's so locked into the past. There's no room for you to see anything beyond that. That's your transference and projection onto the world with money from the past conversation you're in that you've inherited. So that's all you see. And until that's transformed, there's no way you will see anything beyond freedom around it.
So then I have to change my belief system, because that's one of the things we brought up.
One.
So then how do I change my belief system?
To go back and see what's not working. So look at the belief system that has you where you're at right now, the scarcity conversation. Not having the money you want in the bank, not having the freedom and the lifestyle. That's all down to, all the money in the world is there for you as well as everybody else.
Yeah. And there's enough for everybody. That's the thing.
There's more than enough, right?
Yeah.
But we don't think like that. Why? Because we're programmed not to.
So is that the mindset I should be striving for? There's enough in the world for me.
You won't believe that.
But is that what I work towards?
That's the belief system you really want to free yourself up to.
Which is abundance and
freedom.
Freedom.
Yeah. And no attachment, right?
Yeah.
No attachment is always the key to anything. The more we attach ourselves to something, the more tighter that becomes, the more thinking shuts down, the emotion gets all into the young age stuff.
Yeah. Because a lot of the stuff I worked on in the the money seminar, was like logging into my bank account and looking at the number, and all of a sudden I'd be in like a spiral.
Yeah.
So then
that happens a lot,
Which what?
That happens a lot for people,
Yeah. So you're impacted by a number in your bank account. Whereas in that moment, in that moment, there's really not, like, logically and rationally, there's no danger, but yet you set yourself up for the feeling of what danger, spiral, and anxiety, fear, worry about all the potential things that could happen.
Sure. But can we go just reverse back to the point where you look at the number, then you make a decision to be anxious?
Yeah.
So we don't know, doesn't it? And it might not be, no, so it's not the number. It's the reaction to the number.
Yeah.
Because, look in the bank account, I've got £1,000, right? Okay. One of the reaction could be, oh, I must earn some more money.
Yeah.
A It's only as an information, right?
Is that a healthy reaction there? Like how
I would say as a healthier reaction, a more freer reaction than, as you say, like everything spirals. You go into panic, anxious, right? Can you see the difference? Oh my God, yeah. Oh look. So I've got £1,000 now. I have to, that I need to do something about that.
Yeah, so change it into possibility and action rather than like spiraling and ruminating.
Or fact, just facts.
Facts.
Take the emotion out of it.
Okay.
And I'm not saying it's easy.
Yeah.
When you got to pay the rent. Do you know what I mean? But, and also, I think a big one, when it comes to that sort of behavior, the fearful behavior, a big one is really powerful is responsibility. No, I don't mean responsibility if you're responsible, you're a good person, and you're not responsible, you're a bad person. But responsibility as inside of your response to that. So how do I need to respond to this number? Okay, so look, you know what? I need to make a few changes here. I need to get myself, look in different directions. I need, whatever it looks like. You need to go into the inquiry rather than into the fear, and then tumbling, as you say, into a spiral effect, which is not powerful, as you know.
Yeah.
And it's not useful.
Yeah.
But a lot of us live there.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, so that's kind of one.
That's like, coming from the scarcity one, right?
That's one scarcity. So then let's talk about, and I know if Gemma was here, she'd be fine with us discussing her thing on money. She's talked about this before, is like she puts no value on money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it seems to come, and that is, like you said, that is a relationship, but like she's like, I just always have it because I don't put any value on it.
Yeah.
But you said again, that is a certain
That's also a survival pattern, right?
Yeah.
Because, it's like, that's what I'm saying to you. It's all down. We've got to really check in and see what is that relationship look like, right? So, how she does it, she anyone, right? Not just saying she, Gemma, right? But anyone that's doing that behavior, I've got enough money, it's fine. It'll always come. It's not what they're saying, but it's in the reaction to it as well. It's the same reaction. Different version of it, but same reaction. Now, the question will be, is that matching up to where you want your life to go?
Yeah.
Different conversation. And that's going to be yes or no. You know how practical and sort of, straightforward it can be?
Yeah.
But, it takes work. One of the things I want to say as well is what I see, the difference between men and women's relationship with it as well. I'm not saying it's better, worse, any of that. Some men are really caught up with it being their self-esteem. They value themselves for money. Their self-worth has become not just the money, but how successful they are. And, you can see men with low self-esteem because they're judging themselves of another man who's really successful.
Who's able to provide and,
provide for his family, can get a lifestyle. So it's all very external, how they sort of view money.
Yeah.
Where women are very different. Women have a relationship with money from shame. And I was talking earlier about, I have clients and they're, they've got really professional jobs. And the minute I ask them, how much money do you earn a year? It gets weird. And all I've asked them is, how much money do you have, earn per year? Now, it's really bizarre because if they're not on so much money, that's not such a big problem to talk about. But if they're on the sort of the 70, the 100,000 upwards, it becomes really difficult for them to have that conversation. So it's really interesting to watch the two particular between men and women, different approaches and belief systems.
Mm-hmm.
And, the level of shame women have around it, actually earning it.
Like we said, you'd probably ask them a question about their sex life, they'd be able to answer quicker than.
That's what I was saying to you earlier. No, that's not a problem. That's not so weird. But when it comes to money, that's a very weird conversation with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can see how much, there's so much, there's so much needs to be developed in the line of the relationship with money. I don't see people have a lot of healthy relationships with it. It looks like it, but when you sort of scratch the surface, it's not. It's not.
And then one last thing, our money in relationships. So I think this is really important. And like from the stuff that I read, and it's like, it's one of the biggest conversations that you have to have in a relationship with somebody.
Yes.
And it's one of those uncomfortable ones, but the outcome, it's something you can't ignore with a partner. Because it's two belief systems coming together to now form one in terms of a partnership and a family and how you support and provide. And like I was talking to a couple one time and we just threw out the figure of 5,000. And like to her, that's not enough. And to him, that's enough.
Yeah.
And then it's like, how do you manage that expectation on each other?
Yeah.
And how do you meet the needs in terms of money within a relationship? So what would you say to that?
Well, first of all, what I would say now it gets more complex, right? Because we've got two different belief systems, two different family history belief systems coming in. And maybe even two, if one's Irish in some other countries, it's another nation coming in and their belief system, which you probably, you've got your hands up, right?
Got my hands full with that one.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because my partner, his relationship with money is completely different to me.
Yeah.
Because he was brought up, in a country and a time where money was, like he was brought up in the Middle East, where money was really, like money was a very different conversation to what we had in Ireland. And also the time he was born, his father got really rich. So he hasn't come from scarcity. Where in my home, my dad died. Me and my mum, we had to provide, like my mum had to provide for me. She wasn't working, but she had to provide for me and and get help. She probably didn't get much help, but we lived with my brother, which was a help, but the financial security was gone. So I'm like you, I have got a very Irish relationship with money.
Yeah.
But look, it's really interesting how then we navigate that relationship.
Yeah, well, it was a big conversation for us at the start, which I didn't like. I was kind of just, especially with my partner, just not touching it, not going there. Just like, what? We don't need to. And then until you were here and you were like, you got to be honest and talk to him about this. Yeah. Like if you want to move forward, like it has to be an open conversation. But I was coming to the conversation with, say, maybe shame or fear or worry or that kind of stuff. And I had to kind of let go of all that and just be like honest and then see. And then it still is an uncomfortable conversation in our relationship to this day. And we still bicker.
For both.
Yeah. Well, for me, I'm going to say for me, we still bicker. But just like kind of our mindsets. But then again, look, we could get so deep.
But you just brought me to a very, very interesting point. It probably is for every relationship a very, very interesting point of conflict or whatever it looks like.
Yeah.
And you see, it's like that's how strong the money conversation is in relationship with relationships.
And it's something that's not right or wrong. It's a meeting in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's like an understanding. But like for some relationships, it could end a relationship and you don't even know it.
Oh my God. I would say most of divorces, there's a huge sort of input of the financial. When people lose their finances, say whenever there's a recession, there's way more divorces and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it has a big impact on relationships and divorce. So
yeah,
we probably can go on all day on this one.
We could totally.
We've only just scratched the surface.
What advice from a therapist for relationships and money would you say? Just have the conversation, or what would you say?
Communication. All day long. And then, get where each other's coming from and how different. Now, I've learned a lot from my partner. He's changed my mindset a lot because he had the opposite to me.
Yeah.
So look at which person do you think has the more healthier relationship with the money, and maybe the other person learn a bit more from that. And, look at what works with the relationship, not what your opinion or his opinion. Look at what you need to do with the financial and what works for both, But it's down to communication and generosity.
Yeah.
Generosity
and an understanding of your own relationship before you decide to come at the other person.
Oh my God, yes. Before you go into any conversation, you got to do the homework.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. So maybe we'll return to this conversation in the future, Ciara. And
for sure.
So good luck with everyone in this relationship with money, and I hope you get lots and lots of money in the future.
Bye. Thank you.
Goodbye. You've been listening to the Rebellious Therapist podcast. For more information, you can follow me, the Rebellious Therapist, on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. You can find further information on my website, therebellioustherapist.com. Until next time, thanks for listening.